Hey everybody, this is Ahdoom, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Let's Play Darkest Dungeon, where we are not going to be entering the Crimson Court this episode, but instead we'll be looking at trying to unlock another boss in the Cove with a fairly low band of apprentice-level peeps. A Hellion, an Abomination, a Jester, and an Arbalist, with really nothing particular to say to commend any of them particularly, beyond the fact that I don't typically rock out with an Abomination, let alone an Arbalist. It'll be good to take these guys out for a spin to level them up and get them ready for some higher level boss bashes down the line. Before I get things started, I just want to do a quick shout out and say thank you very much to all of my viewers, particularly the ones in Germany, Denmark, and Romania for stopping by. I never knew I had as many Romanians or Danes who were enthused by my stuff, but thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate the time you take to have a look at my stuff. I have a lot of fun making these videos. I really love playing Darkest Dungeon, and Crimson Court has really added a lot to the game. So yeah, thanks very much for coming by, especially if you're a sub. In the meantime, it's time for us to get into the dungeon. Everyone should already have trinkets equipped. Let's make a few considered choices of what to do. Given the fact that this is going to be a medium dungeon, we will be bringing along a couple of medicinal herbs into the cove, because those come in exceedingly useful to clear off negative quirks when the opportunity arises. 2 skeleton keys, 3 shovels, which might be over-preparing. In fact, I think it may well be, but you know what? Let's just make it the 1 key, and we'll live with the consequences. And shovels are very, very useful for those giant clams. Beyond that, we don't need to have any holy water. Laudanum, you know what, I've never actually seen a use for it, and right now no one is carrying the curse, because with the Baron dead, we are just good to go. That said, though, we will be bringing along a decent amount of torches, and more than the usual amount of food, because my healing capabilities are relatively weak in this party. With that all spent out, plus all the money I've spent back at the Hamlet, we are down to only about 12k in gold. It's time to embark away. Oh, I can't believe I've actually gotten about 3,500 views on my videos, which is kind of crazy in only 2 or 3 weeks. I know that sounds like a really, really small number, especially if you've watched some more pro YouTubers like Marbazir or Christopher Odd, both of whom I watch and love loyally. However, to someone just starting out, it's pretty amazing, to be honest. So we have to explore 90% of rooms, which means we can't really afford to skip too many, but the pathing is going to be a bit hinky given the torch situation. Don't have a vessel to buff up that torch, so we might have to make some considered choices. What we will do, though, is probably path down this way to pick those up and then double back, go this way, and then sadly double back, and then go here, round the round, and carry on all the way to sunset. In the meantime, let's make sure we keep our inventory open, and I might need to actually double check what a bas-relief unlocks with. Give me 2 seconds, I'll quickly tab out and go into Karamazula's cheat sheet. Sorry for showing you exactly how many videos I make there. And the bas-relief is just it's a chance to get a disease with a chance for a positive quirk. It's more in my favor than not. The real question is who has the highest disease resist. 30% on the Hellion, 20% on the Abomination, 20% on the Jester, and 30%. You know what? I'm going to leave it be. I don't like my chances with those resists, and if I can't take the time, I'm not going to do the crime. Torch up before we enter this room. We know it's a battle room, so it's good to be ready and prepared. Bit of an even band there with an Acolyte, 2 Brawlers, and a Guardian, and with a free turn, we might actually start things off by focusing on the guys that would do me the most damage, which is to say, the guys that would freak me out. Great critical there. And I believe that Acolyte is dead in their first action, which is just fine by me. That Brawler is going to be doing some extra damage, so the onus is going to be on us to keep him locked out and out of action. And with that in mind, I might just drop a Manacle Stun on the Brawler rather than going into full-on Beast mode too early on. 6 damage made, and that stun does take beautifully, negating that buff for at least 1 turn. From here we have quite a few options. Again, Blind Fire is kind of a no-brainer. That Sniper's Mark, you know what, I might substitute that in our next battle for something else, because without a unit that does extra damage for Marked, it's not going to really be worth my while. And I've got nothing in the party mix that's going to be supporting that. Sniper Shot could be a fairly useful thing to start things off. And again, we do need to get some focus damage going on that Shaman, so let's get things started there. Not enough for the kill, but that wasn't expected by any measure. And let's finish things off on that chappie. Well, I guess we have the Jester for stress. We've got a pretty good chance for killing that Brawler, and that would be prudent at this stage, given his extra damage. So, I'm not going to be too regretful about those decisions. I stand by that call, and I think it's going to work out for me pretty darn well. Stress Wave goes down on the Arbalist, but she dodges like an absolute boss, and it's going to be time for us to make some decisions. Blind Fire isn't too bad in the grand scheme of things. It isn't really too bad. I could drop a mark, but you know what? It only really benefits her. The extra crit chance is pretty good though, but let's just drop a Blind Fire. It doesn't really matter who actually takes the hit, because with that guard in place, it's all going to go down on that Guardian. With that said, we are going to probably take a chance to do a bit of party buffing, because it's the best of all available options. While dropping a bleed on that Guardian will be pretty worthwhile. A stun would also be pretty good. 2 damage, and that stun does take. That guard is lifted, and we are free and clear to do some damage and take out that Shaman. Gorgeous. Alrighty, and with only one person left in the mix, Blind Fire is a pretty easy no-brainer there for a bit of extra damage as well as a self-buff on speed. Can't really do anything meaningful with that Jester because everyone is just at no stress at all, so we'll party buff it up all the way. And let's keep trying to keep those stuns going. Probably not going to take, but you know what? That's just fine given the way things are currently laying down. Beautiful crit for 9 there. And only 5 hit points left on that Guardian Octocestus. After her saying that a number of times before it came out right, Octocestus goes down with no problems at all. Could actually spend a turn on healing up that. Yeah, that Abomination, I don't mind if I do, to be honest. That's a pretty good call. Let's keep those party buffs coming, because there's not much else this Jester can achieve in these rounds beyond making everyone's crits amazing. And 3 more damage done. That stun does take, and it's ours to finish up with the Hellion. Nicely done. You can clearly tell I don't spend that much time in the coves because I've forgotten what everything does. Ship's Figurehead, let's have a quick look here. Ship's Figurehead is just a blanket buff to damage, and I think that just belongs on the Hellion. Great inspiration there, and yeah, don't know what that did. Doesn't seem to have done anything at all, to be entirely honest, but with that all said, we'll just keep our inventory open in case we have to interrupt anyone's curiosity, and well, let's take the chance on treasure. We know what medicinal herbs do on a fish carcass, that's for absolute certain. And there we go, pretty good mix of items and a free torch as well, which I'm not going to complain about by any measure, given that we're already going down into dim. Entering in this room now, and we know it's an empty, so it's a question of taking the long walk back to the beginning. Oh, I should say, not actually. We have a corridor battle coming up right around the corner. Let's torch up to Radiant and see what this has in store. Okay, it's a pack of humans. Brigand Cutthroat, and 2 Fusiliers. Forgot to change the Arbalist's abilities there, but again, I'm not going to cry about that too much. Might open things up with a Chain Bleed, because that's a relatively good call in almost every instance. 2 and 5, not too shabby, and bleeds go down without, without any problem, really. Probably follow that up with a Beast's Bile, just adding the dots in play. Resistance is fine for these things to be doing some meaningful damage, and 6 is taken on that Fusilier. He is dead in his next turn. Blanket Fire goes down, and that's a pretty hefty party attack, given the issues I have with healing. But with that all said, I might just look at where I have the best option of doing some, well, getting a qualified kill into support, and that Cutthroat looks like a likely target. 5 damage taken, and he should be dead in his next turn. Uppercut Slice goes down on the Abomination, and that unfortunately shuffles him out of position, but doesn't mean we have to worry too much. Iron Swan on back row, not quite enough to kill, but there are ways and means, my friends. Ways and means. Quadruple dodge down on the party, which is just fabulous in my eyes. And let's consider our next action carefully. Heals on the self could be kind of useful, but so could a stun to take that Fusilier out of action in the next turn. And that is, I think, what we're going to be doing. That said, we are going to get pretty good chances to dodge his attacks, but I'd rather take focus damage than spread damage given my heal abilities. Alright, and you know what? That even got me a kill. That's pretty redonkulous, to be entirely honest. What I'm going to do with the Jester now that going to move the Jester to the back row because I can't do any other meaningful damage, and that lets my Arbalist act as my primary healer. Let's get a Wicked Hack going on the front row, and this could well be the insta-kill that finishes the round. Boom! Beautiful stuff. And yeah, dead in his first action. That was really fast. Okay, picked up some free blood there. We're pretty fine for food. Not going to worry about health checks for the moment. But before I get into my next battle, what I am going to do is take a quick moment to consider the best options I have on my Arbalist. Let's think this through. Increasing torch, that could be useful given that our torch levels are pretty low. It will clear stun, it will clear mark, and it will add to debuff resist. That's not too concerning. Suppressing fire could be a fairly good opening move because it does remove their accuracy and chance to crit, which is pretty healthy, and a knockback is also good. Let's start with suppressing fire. Chance for blanket debuff is pretty darn handy, and we still have a long way to walk back to starting positions. Okay. Lasting impact, and is it a negative? Nope, that's a positive. I'm just fine with you hating mankind, given the fact that we found a few mankind down in the coves. Now let's press on and see how we go. Alrighty. Free torch, don't mind if I do. And just in time as well for me to actually need to use it almost instantly. Early hunger check, and that's not a problem at all. These things are supposed to happen, and I'm glad when they do, because it means that my party members aren't actually all zombies. I know that's a pretty silly rationale, but it's the one I'm going to make, and it's the one I'm going to carry through and stick with. Now let's do a quick have a look in. Let's have a quick look in the sack here. Pretty small change. Time to torch before we get to a battle. And it's a Thrall, a Grouper, and a Stinger, and we have the element of surprise, which makes me such a happy chappy. Not much we can really do at this stage with this Jester's position, but that's kind of as intended for the next few rounds until we can get some better heals going. Now to get things started up, I could go into Beast Mode. That isn't actually a bad call. It will be the first time I've used it in a while, and I do need to get some early damage in. This will freak some people out just a little bit, but that's what the Jester is there for in a supporting role. Rage is a pretty good one to take that drowned Thrall out quick and painlessly, but it wasn't quite enough to get a kill. We'll follow things on, however, with a nice little strike there. Nice little strike there. Suppressing fire is going to be of a limited value, however a blind fire could be pretty handy. That said, I do want to get some heals going, but with the Abomination now in Beast Mode, I think he's going to get a heal on his own, so that's going to be somewhat wasted. Let's get things started with a blind fire to get some decent damage in. Buff our speed, 6 damage done and taken. Seaward Slash goes down to the Hellion for 5 damage, but she can pretty easily self-heal there. Shocker though on the Arbalist for 2, and that stun should take. Yeah, as expected. So her disease resist has been reduced pretty substantially for a few turns, and that critical hit is going to be a pain in the proverbial keister. Well, I guess by calling it a keister, it ceases being proverbial. What can I do? Meantime, I can take a bit of stress taken up on the Abomination, and I think it's time for us to try a Rake. That should get a kill on one and severe damage on another. Whoa, double kill. Even better. Alright, and that's taking down a whole mess of stress. No complaints there at all.
At least promises success.
Right, I'm gonna ditch the anti-venom in favor of the gold. That makes clear and obvious sense to me. These debuffs will clear in a couple of rounds, and I should just be tickety-boo. But let's have a quick check of the map, and we're entering into an empty room. Excuse me, guys, my throat's getting a little bit tickly. I might have a quick sip of water. Bear with. Oh, it's much better. Alright, we do have a trap that we need to get rid of quite early on. 80%, 90%, 70%, 70%. Okay, let's take that on the Jester. Nice, that works a treat. And he has no stress left at all. Let's keep our inventory open as we progress through the dungeon, though, just to make sure we aren't making any foolish mistakes. Let's keep up in Radiant as well, and free up an inventory slot as we enter this treasure room. Now, we still have a key. We do indeed, and that treasure should be mine. Pack of groupers. It's all groupers all the time, which again is not too concerning. We'll get things opened up with a party buff just to max out speed, accuracy, and crit. That party buff is absolutely fantastic, by the way, and great dodge to open things up on the Hellion. Now, to get things started, stun's actually pretty attractive, to be entirely honest, because again, it will get me some damage. It won't yeah, stun is actually very attractive, to be honest, just to give me some breathing room. And yeah, 4 damage taken, that stun should take, and it does. And that's a turn that has been earned, even though it's a 1-to-1. I don't mind too much Spearfishing goes in the back, but it's dodged by the Obelisk, and once again, can't be lucky twice in a row. That's 7 damage that has been taken. Now, I could do a self-heal, and that isn't necessarily a bad call. That isn't a bad call. However, if I debuff their accuracy, I'm going to be doing a better play in the macro. So let's get that started to 3 and 2, and these guys are looking a little bit sloppy. That's for show. 13 damage taken on the back row, and that guy is dead. Next up, we could look at stress. We could look at... No, there's no need for that. No need for that at all. Let's just keep buffing up the party, and let's wait until the Obelisk has a chance to heal herself. In the meantime, we could support everyone by dropping some blights. Resistor blight is really, really darn low. But we could also keep the stuns going and do some pretty healthy damage. Now, while the blight resist will be reduced, I'm not sure that the 9 damage is going to be worthwhile. It will get me kills, but it won't get me kills fast enough to be of any darn use. What I could do, though, is consider going into beast mode, getting my guys taking a little bit of stress, which again is not really a huge concern for me given the Jester's place, and start things going with a rake, which may get a kill. Yes, it does, and it does much better spread damage than a few measly little blights. What we'll do is we follow things up with a kill on that grouper. Provided we hit, it's guaranteed, and it hits like no one's biz. 7 damage taken on the Jester, and that is going to be a concern, but instead of worrying, I will spend a few turns self-healing, because my Abomination has got this. He's got this so darn good. Let's take care of some stress on the Hellion. Again, let's just keep our stress levels as low as we can, because they will be accruing quite rapidly with the Abominations, tender administrations. Could probably get a kill right here. Alternatively, I could slam. Let's just take these guys out. Let's do a camp. Let's do a camp soon. I think a camp soon could be quite handy.
That overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
And we will drop those bandages in favor of a Stunstone, not for any reason beyond the fact that it is good gold and thus good sense. We'll have a free slot though with that key now used up, and we've got a decent stack of heirlooms. Everything is stacking nicely, and I'm going to make no complaints about that whatsoever. In the meantime, it's time for us to yet again double back, and given that we have a corridor battle to contend with, we will more than likely be doing as much self-healing as we can, depending on how tough the corridor battle party is that we are approaching. Do a quick zoom in there just to have a nicer view of the map, and let's press on. We should be very much still and radiant as we enter that battle, so let's just see what we have in store. 2 groupers, a shaman and a madman. Yeah, we can deal with these punks. 1 damage on the Jester, and again he's starting to look a little bit weak, but again with that madman's... No, let's transform and take out these groupers as fast as we can. That works for me, especially given our food situation. I feel confident that we can feed these guys up something decent. Accusation once again goes down the Jester, but this time he dodges, and for that I am eminently grateful. Given his current stress levels, I'm going to start mediating those downwards. Not concerned about any critical hits getting the kill, getting a kill on the Jester. Having said that, they're going to happen immediately. 7 damage on the Abomination, but again I'm not worried. The purpose of this round is just to get the heals in. 3 to 4 damage. Let's top up the Obelisk. Yes, I don't mind if I do, and it's a beautiful critical for 8 as well, which remediates some stress. No problems there. Seaward Slash on the Hellion for 5, and again she is looking fine. Let's try and get a kill on that Shaman. Beautifully done. 17 is gone, and round is up with the Abomination coming in first. Let's see if we can get 2 kills rather than just the 1. Boom. Beautifully done. Beautifully done. But aside from having to worry about stress, I'm pretty fine across the line. Alright, and again, with the levels of stress we're currently rocking, I'm not too worried, to be entirely honest. Again, like, it's just, we'll lose 10 as soon as we can, because we'll fork out for the feast. And, Actually, the heals as well should take care of the rest. It's actually just the it's just the gesture that I have to worry about, really, in terms of health levels. Let's get a rage going on the Madman. Not quite enough for a kill, but again, that will pace out nicely for me. Doomsday goes down on the bunch, and everyone takes just a little bit more of the freaked out stuff. But that, again, is fine by me. We're going to focus on reducing the stress on the Jester, because there's a lot of stress to go away on that Abomination in short order. Now that, yep, that Obelisk is doing well. Let's drop a heal in. That comes in for 6 rather than 3 or 4, which is just fine by me, and I think it's time to finish up this round. Boom.
Seize this momentum. Push on to the task's end.
Another Sunstone, not too worried by that. It's completely fine. And the gold and gem situation is just dandy as well. Let's get into this empty room and take the opportunity to camp to reduce our stress.
A spark without kindling is a goal without hope.
We will take some reasonable actions to prevent ambush if we have the right ability in place on somebody. I'm sure we do. We certainly must. Do we have anything? Alright, well, we're going to have to take a chance. We'll get ambushed. Guess that's just going to be how it has to be, unfortunately. The only person that's rocking any major stress is going to be the Abomination. But, you know what? I can probably make do with that. And that. And no one else is really rocking enough stress to waste any points on, so let's start looking for buffs. Yeah, we're going to stay in position 1, I'm pretty confident, so let's get Battle Trance, unless we can find a better combination of stuff and things to make stuff work the way we want. No, Battle Trance, there we go, that's 5. Obelisk, all companions, 2 speed, yeah, that makes complete sense to me. And we have, sure, let's polish off some stress in the Obelisk, and we are looking fabulous. Just fabulous, ladies and gentlemen, just fabulous. Let's see if we get ambushed. Yes, we do. And 2 thralls. Not too badly out of position, to be entirely honest. Again, we can just move this gesture back here, and we should just be tickety-boo. What we are going to do, though, is go straight into beast mode, as much as we have de-stressed. And let's get a rage going for some hopefully focused killing on these chaps here. Boom, 1 is downed in very short order. Salty Gouge on the Obelisk for 5, and that could be a problem. But again, there seem to be no ill effects on us, which is just fine by me. Unfortunately, our heal can't reach where we want it to be, so instead we will blind fire and hope for the best. 9 damage, that's pretty darn good, but we need to focus down on these thralls. Oh, beautiful critical there for 25, and not a great deal of stress reduced, but again, we should all just be fine. This guy does have an active turn, and rather than taking the damage, I will just make sure that he is eliminated. Beautiful critical, and that de-stress has now spread quite nicely.
But a victory nonetheless.
The deeds to me right now are going to be worth more than the citrine, but why compromise? You can have it all. You can have it all. Let's press on and keep our inventory open just in case. And I've not seen much in the way of mysterious coral. Again, I'm not complaining, but it would be nice. At the doorway, we will torch up to make sure that our camouflage cloak keeps giving us those sweet, sweet dodges. And in this empty room, we've got no option but to press on and keep exploring. Let's see what we have to find. Alright, finally used one of these shovels. Let's get that just in time, and we're expecting some decent loots. Well, yeah, every little bit helps, and I can use the crests right now. That is for sure. Alright, in this room, yep, another empty, but we are progressing slowly towards our objective of hunger check, that's fine, of exploring 90% of rooms. I haven't counted them, so I don't know how many I can miss. I'm going to imagine it's going to be 2, which means I don't have much further left in this dungeon to go. Again, inventory open is a goodie there, and once again we get there in time for the shovel. Gonna need to take care of that very frustrating quirk on that.
Finding the stuff is only the first test. Now it must be carried home.
Don't want to take stress. I'm going to keep that shovel. Going to keep those torches as well. Food is sort of necessary, and I think those crests, they can be left behind. I'd rather leave crests behind than, take the chance of needing hunger or medicinal herbs. Again, you need them when you need them. But what was that quirk on the obelisk? Plutomania. Right, okay, we'll have to make an attempt to get rid of that at our first convenience. Getting into this room, and we'll see what we have. It's yet another empty. But again, these things happen. Switch back to the inventory in case we have to use our last shovel. But nope, it's a trap.
Curious is the trap maker's art.
3 damage and quite a bit of stress in the grand scheme of things. Let's see what's inside this crate, and it is heirlooms. Unfortunately, it's just more crests, which I've already taken as many of as I think I'm going to in this dungeon. Behind the store, let us see what we have in store. Wasn't attempting to rhyme there, that's horrible stuff. Okay, another empty, so I think I've got this last room, and then we can make a decision as to whether or not we're going to keep on keeping on. Now, again, just to evidence my noobishness, Brackish Tide Pool, I just cannot remember, so I'll have a quick look to see what we have to see. Brackish Tide Pool, if I had anti-venom, I could reduce stress, but I don't, and I'm not going to take the chance, because I don't need it. I don't need the chance. Unfortunately, we're in dim, so we probably won't get the surprise. What we will do is jump up to Radiant Light at this stage. Excuse me. And look at our best options. Now, I could start with dealing with stress, or I could try and get a bleed going. Only 1 to 2 damage is the potential. A chain bleed makes a lot more sense despite the relatively high resistance on this stinger. Let's give that a shot. 1 damage, and bleeds have taken on everyone. That stinger is dead in his next turn. Chakra goes down with the Jester, and unfortunately he's out of action, but he has had his action in already quite early on, and I'm not going to complain about that in the least. Again, damage over time is the best way of taking out these maggots, and while I have the opportunity, I may as well, but again, it is going to be somewhat wasted. My other alternative would be to try and stun one of these guys, which again is going to be somewhat wasted. Let's go into beast mode. Let's go into beast mode, and let's start focusing down these maggots if we can. Good chance of an actual kill immediately on that second position, and we'll take it. Boom. Beautifully done, and that stinger moves into position 3. Stun will probably drop. No! That is just fantastic. Can get an instant kill on that stinger, and we may as well. 7 damage. Does the bleed take? It does not. Alright, not quite good enough, unfortunately. What we will do, though, is finish him. Just to make sure we don't need to deal with any more stuns the next turn, because we need that Gesture alive and large and very much in charge, so we can start dealing with his and everyone else's stress levels, so we can get these guys out and partying as soon as possible. Now, getting concerned about the stress that's being added to this abomination, but you know what, at the end of the day, it isn't going to be too revolutionary. What I will do is try and drop a debuff here. We'll do some pretty hefty damage, and look at that, but in the interim, I will spend some turns in faffing, or just actually taking them out. Let's just try and take them out. We'll faff when opportunities present themselves. See, that's an opportunity because we could use the heal. There we go. It's a faff of opportunity. That's why they're called that. Brian goes down for 4 damage, but I'm not concerned about damage on the abomination because he gets a big old-fashioned heal at the end of his round. We'll look. Oh, why not? Crit for 8, not bad, and stress goes down to boot. Jester will get a turn in before the Hellion or Abomination, so we'll reduce the stress on the Hellion by just a little smidgen there. Nicely done. And before the Mac gets a turn, let's make him regret ever being born. There we go.
As victories mount, so too will resistance.
Now, let's take a chance on that shovel. Yeah, let's take a chance on that shovel. Do a quick reshuffle back to first positions, and I'm satisfied with how everything is going. This dungeon has worked out quite handily for me. Again, the gold hole isn't amazing, because we've picked up quite a few slots of heirlooms, but you know, those gems are going to add up to something. And again, this was mostly an XP run rather than a cash run. Do I feel mad enough to summon a Shambler? It's a question we all have to ask ourselves from time to time. Are we mad enough to summon a Shambler? Should I be going Shambler hunting? I think the answer is no. And I think this could well be the end. Certainly, at least for the Shaman. Let's give him a go. 25 damage, beautifully done. That Thrall needs to die promptly before he goes and ends us all with a gaseous explosion. So let's try out the Rage. Beautiful crit for 26. And I am just so happy with RNG's and the beneficence, munificence, how is that pronounced? Am I just trying to be too fancy with my English? Probably. The answer is probably. Blind Fire, because we don't particularly care where the shot lands at this stage. Great 7 damage. That's just tickety-boo. This is going to be a faffing round to close things off, and great dodge. Great dodge from the Hellion. Next up, we have another Blind Fire, so again, we don't mind if we do. And let's see what this Abomination has in store. A Rage could be handy, but we've got a better chance for an insta-kill on that grouper. Only 12 though, not quite enough to make that happen. What we will do instead is look at stress levels and just help the Hellion chill out just the smallest bit. Nicely done. Alright, next up we're going to deny them a turn. I think the turn is going to be most valued on the grouper. Done. He's out of action now, and a bit more stress goes away. Octocestus drops for 5 damage, but it's only going to give me a bleed. It's not really that big a deal. Considering our options carefully, we'll try and faff one more turn, because we're only in turn 3 right now. Do a bit of a heal on our friendly Abomination, and get that one inspiring tune on the Arbalist. Everyone is now on pretty low stress. I could faff things further and take down the 18 on the Jester, but really, who cares? Let's just get this combat done as quickly as we can. Boom. Nice.
Foolish horrors. Brought low and driven into the mud.
You know, this actually fills me out nicely, to be honest. There's a chance we could open one of these chests and get some more stuff out of it. But I think no matter what happens, I'm going to be calling time in this moment here. Contents of mind, and what do we have? Alright, let's
Trinkets and baubles.
take those crests.
Paid for in blood.
So it looks like half of our enumeration will be coming through and selling lots of low-level trinkets, but that's just fine by me. Let's call quest complete and see what we have in the totals.
Morbid aspect. This twisted, cavernous maze seems almost traversable.
Alright, so 10.5k of gold, which isn't too shabby for an apprentice level mission by any means. We also probably have about another 3, maybe 4,000 in the sellable trinkets that we do not need to use. Pick up a total of 16 crests. We've got about 17 deeds and 3 portraits. It is portraits we are chasing, I believe, for our next chase of upgrades, and someone has picked up a nasty disease. But from the top we have Gry. He's got a reduced stun resist in the form of Shocker. Poncherdon, the Jester, has picked up the Fits, which we will need to cure to, well, I don't want to have a reduced accuracy on anyone as a level 3 under any circumstances, let alone a level 1 for that matter. Warren's Adventure on Bohan, and we are done. Right, that was a pretty painless round.
I remember days when the sun shone and laughter could be heard from the tavern.
Now, I don't think this episode is run too incredibly long, so I might actually do a little bit of our faffing on camera just to show you guys that I actually do stuff occasionally there. I know a couple of times in the past you guys have asked me to go through and show how I do things, and I'm very, very happy to oblige. I just want to, I typically spend about 15 to 20 minutes in the hamlet fiddling around with stuff, and I don't want to, have you guys watch me be indecisive for quite that long a period of time. Since Poncherdon has gotten an upgrade, we'll pick the upgrades up to both his abilities and to his weapons and armor. You'll notice that I am going to leave some trees alone. You don't have to upgrade everything. You can save your money, and you should save your money, incidentally, as well. quick check through to see if anyone else has popped. I don't believe they did. Daunger is still quite a ways away from getting to level 3, which is regrettable. We'll have to find a replacement de-stressor to work well in the party. Yeah, not sure that having the Obelisk has worked out well for my playstyle, but again, that's neither here nor there. That said, though, we will be taking care of the Fits because they are cheap and cheerful and easily done. We'll also look at who we have on the higher levels that has quirks that are absolute, well, absolute killers, really. Plutomania is annoying as heck, as we've experienced recently, so I will spend a small amount of cash getting rid of that. I'll probably keep that going as well on anyone else that's rocking it. Thalaphobia is quite frustrating, but it's okay. Plutomania, though, does do interrupts, which potentially lead to misery. That said, the other option is to keep going through our list to see if anyone actually has something that is actively negative to their ability to play the game and survive. Dismiss his deviant taste, that's completely fine. Sickly. It's just a level 1 guy there so far. I'm not going to spend too much on level 1s unless I need to. Again, because they should be pretty self-sustaining. Tinel is fine. Maynard is clean. Weak Grip. Don't really use melee skills very often with these guys. They're part of the mix, but it's not super critical. So instead what we will do is look for Pusho again and drop him in place. And I think, yes, he was one that was also a Plutomaniac. No, they aren't exceedingly fond of a Disney character. They just love money. Now, again, we'll go through our trinket list and see what we have to get rid of, because there was a whole bunch of guff and junk that we picked up. That range skill with a dodge decrease is it's acceptable, like it's okay. That debuff amulet, I really can't see myself ever using, so get rid of that, as well as the health stone, the stun stone, and the stun stone, because we just have better things. And if we're not going to use it in the roster, I don't see the point of having 2, let alone 1. Again, we might want to look at rationalizing down the Hireman's trinkets, but that extra dodge can come in handy, even though I very rarely play a second one. I'll think on that for later, and everything else in this list looks pretty fine. As you guys can see, I kind of keep a fairly limited stack of trinkets because I need the cash to fund my various ventures. Do a quick check in the stagecoach to see who we currently have in roster, and you know what, it might well be that we replace Simnel, the level 1, with a fresh level 2 Houndmaster, again, just to give us some better stretch. Alternatively, again, we have no lowbie level healers aside from one sort of healer in the form of a Arbalist, so we could get rid of her. No, let's do the logical choice. Simnel, you've done nothing but sit back and relax. Pippery, you are now on the squad, and you know what? I really like the idea of doing a quadruple Houndmaster run in against some like awful boss down in the dungeon, and I'm using this opportunity to make that happen. We'll do a quick reshuffle because Bellicott is a 5 and belongs to be higher in the offings than the others, and that is all I can really do aside from doing some background faffing. Yeah, I mean, no more diseases, stress levels looking pretty fine. Fergant could take some de-stressing, but that's what the Jester's for. Brimu is having her stress reduced relatively promptly as well. Next thing I need to do is really just pick our next adventure, and we're pretty close to unlocking the next boss in the Cove, which is the Alluring Siren. You can see that we've defeated 3 bosses in every dungeon, aside from the Alluring Siren. I'm sorry, we have to the Necromancer as well. Necromancer and the Siren. So we can pick a mission either in the Ruins, and I don't mind Ruins runs. Bloodthirsty Ring. That's got its upsides and its downsides, and probably more downsides than I'd like. Or we can do a short match just to unlock this one, and they'll probably come out as being a veteran level, which is just fine by me. Just need to pick a replacement position 3 person, and look, I have one right here. How wonderful. How wonderful. Now, our stress levels won't be addressed in any meaningful way, but this is a short bash, and I don't need to worry about things too much. That could well be our next mission, but before we do any of that, we'll need to get these guys into some trinkets, but that I will definitely do off camera. Wow. As much as that wasn't the most earth-shatteringly exciting mission, it's good now that I've got a few of the Crimson Curse, the Crimson Curse dungeon, the courtyard. Now that's out of the way, I can kind of feel at ease a bit. Now, I haven't seen the infection levels rising anywhere, and that's not a concern as yet. I do need to progress into the game, need to get some level 5s and 6s, and I kind of feel that I'm behind the curve on things. I'm at week 46, and at week 46, I already had a full roster of 5s, and I was trying to get into 6s. I kind of am already, really. But I was kind of putting off going into the first level of Darkest Dungeon. That's where I was at about here in my last playthrough. And I just don't have the same confidence I had before. Not by any measure. I do not have the same confidence I had before. So I guess that's what Crimson Court has done. It's given us all the fears. But that's neither here nor there. I'm just chattering on endlessly. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed spending some time with me this evening, morning, afternoon, or night, whatever it is in your time zone. My name is Ahdoom. If you'd like to get more of these videos, feel free to hit that subscribe button on the screen. I'd love it as well if you could hit that like button below the video, and just show me that you've enjoyed this content. I've also thrown up a playlist so you can start from the beginning in case you're coming in late. And for all of my regular subscribers, thanks again for stopping by. I'll catch you guys next time.